Hey YouTube, Logan with Hideaway Homestead coming to you today with a video on mushroom logs for beginners. And this video has been inspired by a comment by MJK on the channel, and just wanted to give them credit for the comment. Had a lot of great questions in there. I'm going to try to answer all of those questions right now. I can't stress enough how much I enjoy getting comments like the one from MJK, just because it helps me to come up with new content. I really don't know what it is that everyone's looking for, so I just a lot of times share my knowledge and give updates on stuff. So it's really nice to know that there's something that there's actually a need for. So what we're going to be talking about today is this shiitake log that I have that is 2 years old. It's a little over 2 years old. This is from the first workshop we ever did. And we've got about 3 workshops under our, well, we've got, 3 workshops under our belt. Hoping to have a lot more, especially next spring. But I'm going to talk about all the steps that you need to do to eventually get this. So what's the first step? So when you're going to look to grow mushrooms, you want to first figure out what type of mushroom you want to grow. The most common that I've seen and the easiest to grow are pretty much any type of oyster and any type of shiitake. So you can order your spawn online. It'll come in a bag or it'll come in plugs. You can get them on Amazon as well, and from other dealers online. But what you want to do is you want to identify what type of mushroom it is that you're wanting to grow, and you want to get that spawn and the appropriate tools. Now if you'll look on the channel, we have an awful live stream of the mushroom workshops. I did not realize how, or I was unaware of how to make the live vertical, and the guy that I got to record it was recording horizontal, and it was set to vertical, and so the video's trash, because it's all sideways, but the information's good. We go through the whole steps there. I have another video that I'm gonna try to link in the description and in the comments that just has at the very end just some of the steps, video of some of the steps of doing the log. But what you want to do is you want to get the appropriate tools. I would highly recommend, if you are just getting into it, not to get into the sawdust, but to get into the plugs first, because the plugs are going to be so much easier. You're going to need a whole lot fewer tools, and I'm going to set this log aside here and I'll show you just some of the tools that you're going to need. Alright, so I got the tools here, and I'm only going to go over the beginner's tools just because we're not going to do anything with sawdust. You can get more advanced with it. I even have a bit that makes the holes in the log for an adapter that goes on an angle grinder. So what you're going to need is you're going to need, first of all, a drill or an impact. Now depending on what type of tools you get, like I have this bit here that we ordered off of Amazon, and I had to modify it to be able to fit in the impact. If you don't have the ability to do that, you'll probably need a drill. But this here has a stop in it. As you can see, it has a little collar, and that's just going to keep everything from going deep, or the bit from going too deep into the log. After you get done drilling the holes, you'll need some type of mallet or hammer to put in the plugs, and then you need some dauber of some sort and a food grade wax, like a cheese wax, beeswax, to cover up the holes, and that's just to keep insects and stuff from eating what you've put in the log. So next thing to talk about is the wood. You want to select a type of wood that your mushroom will grow on. For example, this right here is sweet gum. It will grow shiitakes and oysters. As far as we know, we've had success with them. You can also grow shiitakes on stuff like chestnut, oak, I think some maple. But yeah, you want to check and grow on the best wood for the mushroom, and the one that you have access to. Now, something that a lot of people don't realize is this is a 2-year-old log, if this log had no mushrooms on it, I would not drill holes in it and inoculate it with spawn. You want to have fresh cut wood. At the most 6 weeks old to as young as maybe like 2 weeks. We've done it in week old, but you can go like 2 weeks. That's a really good number right there. What that means is not wood that's cut down and is dead, living wood. So I mean, you want to make sure, if you are not sure whether the wood's living or not, and you're about to cut down a small tree, or you're about to take off limbs off of a bigger tree, you just take some of that bark off with a knife and make sure that the cambium is still, you know, green and alive. But you want to get fresh cut wood. You can cut them into all kinds of different lengths. We're experimenting with some little 1 foot logs. I've got some of them soaking. It's looking like they're getting pretty close to being fully colonized. So I think you could grow it on even as short as, you know, a 12-inch log. But this here's 3 foot, and we've kind of settled for now on 2.5 foot. Seems like a really easy size to handle, especially for some of the size logs we were doing. We were doing some really large ones, but you want to get that wood fresh. So this was cut fresh over 2 years ago. And then we immediately after that, you know, 2-3 weeks after, drilled the holes, put in the plugs, and then put wax on top of them. That's it. And then of course you can tag them. This one has a tag, but I think it's been covered up. Oh, there it is. So yeah, you can see we tagged them, and it says, see if I can get it there where the camera can capture it. Maybe. I don't know if it's gonna focus or not. But it says Shiitake, and it was done the 25th of February, 2003. Yep, 2003. Wait a minute. Yeah, so I lied. This is over a year old. It seemed like it was 22 when we did that first one. But yeah, this is over a year old. This past spring is when we did this next set of logs. So it's over a year old, and I soaked it and got another flush out of it. That's the thing, is you want to keep these things moist. After you have inoculated everything, you've tagged it, just that way you can identify it. If you're not doing that many, and you just want to kind of have them for your own personal use, I mean, you really don't even have to fool with the tags. It's nice to know how old they are and everything, but it's not 100% necessary. The plugs that you buy, if you do enough logs, more than pays for itself in the pounds of mushrooms that you're going to get. But right after you do that, after you've got everything done, you want to put them in a place where it's shady. Preferably, like for the shiitakes, they do really well under pines, as far as, you know, their shade cover. And so you want to put it somewhere where it's shady and not windy, just because you don't want the log to dry out. If the log looks like it's starting to get a little dry, you can water the log, or you can soak it. You can put it in a rain barrel, or is it like a kiddie pool, whatever you've got. What you want to make sure of, though, is not to soak it in any water that would contain chemicals like in tap water. If your local water treatment plant only uses chlorine, that can be gassed off, but you never know what else they're putting in there, and so it's really not safe for mushroom logs to use tap water. I'm sure there's probably some people that do it, but I don't like taking the risk, so I use nothing but rainwater, or if you can get it from a pond or lake or stream that you know that's not contaminated. It's just that the mycelium is pretty sensitive, so you don't want to do anything that's going to damage the mycelium and then make it to where you don't have any mushrooms. The next thing is you don't want to soak for longer than 24 hours. That's about the sweet spot right there. Do it 24 hours, no longer. You can do it for just a few hours if you're just trying to rehydrate the log and you're not really looking to force a flush. So that's what we're going to talk about next, is forcing a flush. I did in my video yesterday showing the ends of the logs when they're first starting to colonize. They'll turn white, and you know that they have colonized the whole log. So every point where you put in the spawn, it's going to run really fast down grain, but then run slow along this way. And that's why you do diamond patterns, right? So you've got like about every 6 inches alternating, and then you go 2 inches, 6 inches. It doesn't necessarily have to be done perfect. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with that kind of stuff, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. We're doing a lot of experiments with just different ways to inoculate the logs with the ends and stuff, and we're gonna see how some of those turn out. But just know that the more of these that you put in, the faster it's gonna colonize the log. Which brings me to my next point. This is like, basically, I like to think of it as you are burning wood when you are growing mushrooms. So there's so much energy that's embodied in this log, and that's something I probably should have mentioned when I was talking about harvesting the wood. The best time to get the wood is during its dormant season, when there's no budding, it's just dormant trees. So wintertime. Wintertime is the best time to cut down the wood. You're gonna have so much more success because all the sugars are inside the wood. So you're gonna get more energy to burn to grow your mushrooms. So it's like a slow burn. This log here gave a really huge first flush. It's sweet gum, got a lot of sapwood in it, and so it just exploded on its first one, and it's had, after that, I've soaked it many times, so I'm burning up the wood every time I grow mushrooms, and I'm getting smaller flushes. Like on this log here, I got a couple of mushrooms the other day. Well, I think it was 3 mushrooms, or it might have been off of another one. I've got 3 mushrooms on this one. So not a whole lot. It's getting to a point to where it's probably not gonna be worth, fooling with, but there's no need to throw it away. Put it in a place in the woods or around your flower beds. I know that was mentioned in the comments, so great idea, especially with your logs that are starting to slow down. Put them around in flower beds and stuff. Great for the garden. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's putting that spawn in the log, allowing it to colonize the log, and making sure that it stays well watered. That's pretty much it. But if you want to force a flush when you've got white on both ends on that first log, all you need to do is take especially if you're growing shiitakes, this works really well. Take it, soak it for 24 hours, and then I like to just chunk them. So as I'm taking them out of the rain barrel or whatever it is I got, you just give them a throw and let them hit the ground and bounce around. And the Japanese actually do what's called knocking on them. They take, I think it was either like a hammer or a stick or something, they knock on them and get them to produce. But you could just throw them, take them for a ride in the car, I don't care how you do it, ride in the tractor, just something to agitate the logs, and then you stack them up or lean them up against something and allow them to fruit. One other thing that I will mention is, if it's your first time doing the logs and you're not doing a large scale, you're not going to be watching them a lot, put them in a place where you're going to pass by daily. Whether that's in the garden, in a shaded spot, or by the chicken coop, or whatever it is that you've got on the homestead that you're going to visit every day, or down your driveway in a shaded spot where you're going to pass to go get the mail or go to work or whatever it is. You want to be watching those logs every day because it's really easy to miss a flush. These guys right here are pretty much at peak harvest because you can see they're still curled right under here. They haven't opened up and their gills haven't released their spores yet. And you want to have those spores in there because that's where a lot of your medicinal and health benefits come from. So I know this was a little long and kind of all over the place, but hopefully it will help anybody who's thinking about starting in mushrooms. If there's a need or a want for more information, I can certainly make more videos and we can talk about more in-depth subjects. I'm not a mycologist or an expert by no means, but have been studying and growing some mushrooms, so got a little bit of experience and it's been great so far. So can't encourage everybody enough to give mushrooms a whirl and check out the other videos that I've got. Do some research on YouTube and Google, but it's pretty simple. It's not as hard as you would think. But yeah, if there's any interest in making more videos like this explaining about mushroom growing, please leave it down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video or you found any value in it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. I talk about all kinds of stuff like mushrooms, homesteading, raising ducks, and all kinds of stuff. So go ahead and do that and keep up with future videos. I appreciate all y'all watching, and we'll see you in the next one.